got a special guest, one of the co-founders, Jeremy Roma. He's in, and I know this is date night for him. So I'd like to go on and let him get going first so he can get back to his beautiful bride, if that's okay with everybody. So with that, let me just, I met Jeremy in the backyard of a beautiful home in Pacific Palisades, Southern California, a couple of years ago. And his personality was very engaging that night. And we've bumped into each other a couple times since, and then we've been in companies together. And I've seen Jeremy from the role as a pure leader in each of those companies that where I was. And when he reached out to me about this project, I was very, very excited, and I really thought that he had all of the assets to make something completely different than what we kind of, what most of the typical smart contract deals were, and that he really could separate himself from, or the Daisy crowd could separate themselves from the rest of the noise that I call it that's out there. So with that, I can tell you that his vision as one of the co-founders and the things that he's put in place and will be putting in place, because you got to remember, this is just the first project that we as a crowd will be funding. And so, I don't know where the future will lead us, but I know this much, with people like Jeremy and his other co-founders, we've got people that are going to give us a good direction. So Jeremy, I'm going to turn it over to you and keep letting people into the room because they keep coming in and coming in. So if you could take over for me, that'd be awesome.
Awesome, John. Yeah, it's great to be here. And thank you guys for letting me jump off early here, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say hello to everybody and just share a little bit of the vision and why I think what we have is really a truly disruptive model. Good to see Kevin out there as well. These guys have been a massive part of the development of Daisy. John and I, along with Kevin, for the last 3 months have been talking on a daily basis. We've bounced ideas back and forth. This really was I like to use the word collective genius. That's really what's happened here. It began as, an idea, kind of a disruptive model, and then really a group of leaders that just collaborated to say, hey, let's really put something together that's never been done. Let's do something that really disrupts the industry in a positive way. A lot of us come from, I know I do, and John as well, and Kevin, we really have a passion for blockchain and decentralization, the idea of smart contracts and all that comes with that, the trust, taking egos out of the way and having really an opportunity, a level playing field and all of those great things. But, until now, a lot of what we've seen in the smart contract world as it relates to network marketing, quite honestly, has been really nothing more than a digital money game, right? Everything has been, sort of 100% payout and really just that type of environment. And so I've never participated in any of those companies, but I'll tell you a little bit of the story behind the story. I saw what happened this year with some of the companies that are out there, and I was blown away. I was impressed. One company in particular that put 980,000 people into an Ethereum smart contract in a matter of 6 months. And I saw a lot of flaws in the model. It was more of a last man standing type of a model where, if you didn't earn money in the bonus plan, if you didn't have spillover, or you didn't recruit some folks, you were just kind of giving your money away. And I said, there's a flaw there. There's a flaw to that model. Yet at the same time, it was absolutely mind-blowing to see the type of growth and traction that it had. And I think it was because of the transparent environment of smart contracts in the blockchain. And we got a little bit of background noise. I don't know if we have the ability maybe to mute that line out, just so there's no distraction.
I can't find it. I know it is a distraction, and I can't find it.
No problem. Hey, it's all good. We'll get.
If
you do find it, then great.
I'm gonna do a mute, Jeremy. I'm gonna do a mute all, and then you come back in and mute.
Okay, great. All right. I think that worked. So we started to, really look at this idea of saying if we could create a model where, and somebody asked me this a few weeks ago, and it's become kind of the mantra of this whole project is they said, what makes Daisy a disruptive? You had to pick one thing about the Daisy model that makes it what it is. What would you identify? And there's several components, but if I had to pick one, this is what I say. It's a model where everybody wins. And what I mean by that is even if a person never participates in the referral plan, they never have any spillover, they never refer anybody, they still win financially. There's no casualties in this model. And that really is disruptive. When you really hear what John and Kevin are going to show you tonight, it's a disruptive concept that everybody can win financially, even if they're not participating or earning in the bonus plan and in the referral plan. And that one little extra dimension changes the game. It really does change the game. And I think it's the reason why we're having this insane response right now in the market. I mean, I've never, in my 30 years of being in this industry, 27 years of being in this industry, I've never seen this many top leaders coming together around a single project. I mean, I've never, not just $1 million a year earners, but, dozens of $1 million a month income earners from many, many, many different companies are on deck and full-blown launching. We're talking to CEOs of companies that are bringing their database to the Daisy project. I've never seen this. I got a call from a buddy of mine 2 nights ago, called me from Asia. He's also the CEO of a company and a brilliant technology expert in the crypto space. And he said, bro, I didn't realize that you were the formulator of Daisy. I watched the video, and he said, I've gotten so many calls about Daisy. And he said, Jeremy, he said, I'm telling you this. He said, look, I don't even have the time to build this, but I have to join because every leader I know is calling me about this deal. And he said, this is what he told me. He said, if I had to make a list of the top 10 leaders in my network, if I had to make an A list of the top 10 leaders that I know, guys that can create $100 million to $1 billion that have done it before in sales, in companies, in their teams. And I made a list of those top guys. He said 7 of the top 10 have already called me about Daisy and said, we're launching. And he said, I've never seen it. He said, none of these guys have ever worked together before. And they're coming out of the woodworks. And I'm pinching myself out of gratitude for what's even happening, because all we did is created a software. We just created a platform and a smart contract and put some business partnerships together that bring major value to all of the crowdfunding members. And this thing has taken on a life of its own. I can tell you, I've personally shared Daisy with 5 people from my network, 5 people. And it has turned into this just explosive. People from every country all around the world are already hearing and lining up with Daisy. And John was one of those 5 people that I talked to about this project from my own personal network. So without a doubt, we have something here. It's kind of like Facebook. We don't even know what it is yet, but we know what phase 1 is, and it's disruptive. And I believe that we're really solving some problems in the industry. I think we're filling some gaps there in the industry, and we're bringing something to the world that has never been done before. The last thing I'll say is this. I think the reason why leaders are getting so excited about this opportunity, we're seeing such engagement, when you have a story that's real and that's never been told before, when you have your hands on something that when you vet it out, all the way under the hood, full transparency, and you go, oh my gosh, this is real. And the thing that is real is beautiful, is magical, has a story that's never been told, brings value into people's life in such a real way. It creates this authentic enthusiasm. It creates this authentic thing that says, I have to be a part of this. This is too big to miss, and I have to be a part of this. And that's what's happening right now. It's just literally this organic energy of, there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. It's one of my favorite quotes. And I just think the timing in the market is right for Daisy. The companies, the entities, the technologies that have come together around this project are just first class on every level. So it's the right people, it's the right timing in the market. And I've just, I don't think we've ever seen anything quite this exciting. I think we'll be the fastest project to do $1 billion. I think without any shadow of a doubt, we'll see more millionaires created through this project than any other project that we've ever seen. That's not what excites me the most. What excites me the most is that everybody wins. What excites me the most is we're going to create these stories, and it's not going to be on the backs of casualties. It's not going to be on the backs of people giving their money away and losing their money. We're going to create these stories, and every single person that participates in this project is going to become a better person and have a better life, because it's only going to improve their financial situation. Even if they never participate in the referral plan, they're going to win. They're going to win with profits. They're going to win with equity, real equity ownership, and what I believe is going to be a huge unicorn fintech story. And John and Kevin are going to tell you those details. So John, I'm thrilled. Thanks for all of the consultation. Some of the best ideas we have that you're going to learn about tonight came from the conversations John and I had, ideas that he brought to the table. So thank you, John. Kevin and I, for weeks now, have been talking about, months now, the Super Bowl referral plan. How do we create the best marketing plan that the industry has ever seen? And I believe we've accomplished those goals together as a team. So John, Kevin, I'm glad I got to say hello to everyone tonight. I know you're in good hands. I actually put people on the phone myself now with John. I'll have team call me and they'll say, hey, I got this leader. And I'll talk, I say, look, they need to talk to John Hammock, because John knows how to articulate this model, I believe, better than anybody that we have on board right now. So you guys are in really, really good hands tonight with John and Kevin.
Hey, can I ask one quick question, Jeremy?
Yes, of course.
Do you mind just sharing people about the start date and just bringing them up to speed there, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been real transparent all along with leaders that our target launch date was going to be December 15th, but that there were some non-negotiables for us before we officially launch. And those non-negotiables is we just want to go through the entire third-party process. We want to have 3 things that we're in the process of right now. We've hired the best of the best company to do this. Number 1 is security testing, going through full third-party security testing to make sure that there's no vulnerabilities in the platform. So we've got a hacking company, professional hackers that right now are in the process of trying to hack the platform and see if we have any vulnerabilities there. And if we do, then we'll make sure to fix those before we go live. And that's number 1. Number 2 is stress testing. So we want to make sure, I can tell you that on day 1, we'll have at least 100,000 people joining Daisy on day 1. This is just what I know of from webinars that are happening all over the world and people that are lining up. We'll have 100,000 members on day 1. It could be a couple 100,000. And so we're stress testing the platform to make sure that it won't crash with that many folks coming on board at one time, and make sure that everything's working there. So we have a third-party company that's going through that process with us now. And then number 3 is just a full audit of the smart contract itself, going through every single moving part of the smart contract, all of the logic, all of the functions, and making sure that the smart contract has no backdoors in it. And we're going to publish that audit as well to the community, so everyone can see that audit and see that everything we're saying the smart contract does is exactly what it does. There's no backdoors. There's no possible way for anyone to change that contract or take money from anybody. So all of that is being validated. So we got a little bit behind schedule with some of the integration. You got to realize we're integrating with a very high level AI software with Endotech and a lot of things. So we started the testing phase a few days later than we expected to. So we're going to move the launch date from Tuesday the 15th to Monday the 21st. So we're going to push the launch date up 6 more days to the 21st. And we're doing that because we just want to make sure that we're 100% ready. We don't want to second guess or take any chances when it comes to a successful launch. So that's that update.
And then, Jeremy, I'd just like to ask one last question, and that is where you can give the assurances to everybody on this Zoom so they can spread the word that the Daisy platform and Endotech's product is only the first project for this community. And that everybody that's a member of the community, you have to understand, there's no owners of this community. It's our community. We have 4 founders, but we all, just like Jeremy said, Kevin and I have been able to give input because we were one of the earliest people in this community. And so when this project gets totally funded, the Daisy project, that tell them about what your future vision is and that the community survives long past the crowdfund and all that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that companies like Amazon did very right is they created a disruptive model and platform, and then they continue to bring trends into that audience, into that platform. And so they were able to continually just ebb and flow and expand and diversify and position themselves in front of emerging trends because they had the right platform in place. I believe that smart contracts is the platform of the future. Anything that you and I, any of us have ever experienced negative in our industry, 99% chance that problem would have been solved if the systems and the decisions and the process wasn't in the hands of humans that sometimes may change their mind, sometimes may have fear, sometimes may have ego, sometimes may have greed. And if the promises that we entered into in many of our experiences up until now would have been hard coded into the blockchain with full transparency and immutability, we probably wouldn't have had many of the challenges that a lot of leaders have experienced in this industry. Compensation plan changes, genealogy changes, right? I mean, I hear that a lot where, teams were moved around, someone got a deal, they were cut in, and you never even know sometimes if the story is real. So, for us, it's a model that can transcend any emerging trend. So one of the things we're going to be doing in the future is crowdfunding many different breakthrough technology projects. So as we see different DeFi projects or technology projects, anything that brings value to the community, this is now an opportunity for us to be in front of those trends. And the cool thing about our model, and this is why Endotech loves this opportunity, because not only can we create the capital through the crowdfunding, but we bring participation. We're going to bring millions of users into any project that we decide to endorse. And so for any technology company that says, hey, we've got an idea, we have something, they don't know how to market, they don't know how these things, but they have brilliant technology and they need capital and they need market exposure, we're going to be a dream come true for them, really a unicorn relationship. So there's so many opportunities in the financial technology space in the future that we're going to have access to. And quite frankly, any emerging trend that's out there, we're going to have the opportunity to participate in as a community, because we're laying this foundation of a new model, this smart contract blockchain based model. So there's, without giving details, there's no limit to where we can go. And I personally think, even though phase 1 is exciting, and I believe we'll do well over $1 billion in this first year in the project, we'll break records in the industry. I believe that it's phase 2 and phase 3 that are actually going to disrupt this industry. Right now, the ceiling of the big companies is about $10 billion a year. If you look at the Amways, the Avons of the world, you're looking at $8 to $12 billion a year in revenue, and that has been a long-standing ceiling in this industry. Only 13 companies have ever gotten past $1 billion a year. So what we're going to do, and we're not a company, we're a community and we're a technology, but I believe what we're going to do is be the fastest to $1 billion, be the fastest to 10 billion a year in revenue. And then I believe we're going to break the lid that exists in the industry right now. We're going to break that ceiling and kind of usher in a new level of capacity for the industry. We've never seen a $50 billion a year company in this industry, but technology allows us to play in those levels. It allows us to move into those those realms. Amazon, the size of Amazon, why? Because they took they lifted the lid. They broke through the ceiling by creating a disruptive model that took those limits away. So huge future here. It's going to be something, we don't know what it is yet, but I think we're tapping into something. So John, I hope that answers the question.
No, it did. It was perfect, but it brings up another thing, and I'm going to get you to brag, and I promise I won't ask you any more questions. Okay, because we've got several, or at least one that I see for sure. Somebody that is also a founder of a smart contract and all that, and went through that experience. So if you don't mind saying that we brought the other night, we brought somebody that is as good as there is in the smart contract world. And as you started breaking down the processes and what you're going to be posting up when the contract gets posted up on the blockchain, and this guy was very quick to say, oh, you can't do that with smart contracts. Do you mind sharing that you guys have something proprietary that other experts say cannot be done, and you've already tested it up to 20,000 and get a little into that, and that's what's going to allow you to replicate these new projects and new projects and new projects. And so you've got something from the technology side that's cutting edge that's going to be able to keep this long past our first project. Do you mind?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the integration dimension of the smart contract space. And so up until now, all we've seen is isolated smart contract models, meaning all it is a calculator that divides money and pays the money out. But we really haven't seen smart contracts positioned in an integrative way where money can go out of the smart contract and come back into the smart contract, and where the smart contract can become an integration of a much bigger ecosystem. I personally believe smart contracts should be the backbone of every network marketing company in the industry, because it would change a lot of things. It won't happen because, quite frankly, the things that you and I don't get to see is where a lot of the money is made, and it's where a lot of the misguidance takes place. So that level of transparency takes away the opportunity to pull the wool over people's eyes. But what it also does is it creates an opportunity to tell a pure story and bring full transparency into the marketplace and interact with traditional models. So this is an exciting element that we have, the ability that the smart contract becomes a component of the model, but it's not the ceiling of the model. Like in our example, we're able to operate from a smart contract, but still have a partnership with an AI trading company and a trading platform that operates outside of the smart contract, and we're able to create that level of integration. And this can be applied to anything. I mean, the truth is we can go out and market energy drinks if we wanted to through a smart contract model, right? And I'm just using that as an example. There's no limit to what we can ultimately do because of the coding and the levels of level of the programming team and intellectual property. It's funny because a lot of times people accept something as a limitation only because that limitation was all that was necessary for their goal. In other words, a lot of times people will do as much as needs to be done to accomplish a goal. And in their mind, psychologically, we take that and say, that's the ceiling. That's the lid. Well, no, it wasn't the lid. It was just the lid of what was required to achieve your goal. So for example, in a traditional smart contract MLM, it took very basic programming, very basic level programming, because all you were doing is collecting $100 and then telling it who to give the $100 to. And that was the end of the smart contract. So that doesn't mean it's it doesn't mean it's the ceiling of blockchain capacity or smart contract capacity. It means it was the ceiling for that particular goal that they had. So what we did is came in with a much bigger goal. We said, hey, we don't just want a smart contract to create a digital pyramid scheme. We want to create a real ecosystem, and we want to create a much bigger, a lot more moving parts in the context of the smart contract. And so it's interesting what people accept as a lid or a limitation or a capacity in our lives, not just in technology, but even in our lives. But oftentimes those ceilings that we hit are only because that's all we needed to do to get the result. When you ask better questions, you get better answers. And I think this is true for all of us. I think people that have hit ceilings in their income levels sometimes feel like that's a capacity. They hit this capacity. But in reality, it's the Roger Bannister experience, right? Once Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, what was once considered impossible became the norm, right? And so sometimes you have companies, or you have ideas, or you have teams that just push the limits. I remember when I was, tell a little bit of my network marketing story, but I remember leaving, I've only been with 4 network marketing companies in the last 25, 27 years. And I remember making a big decision in 2003 that it was time to move on from a company that I'd been with for 7 or 8 years. And I moved to a company that probably everyone is familiar with, and it was Organo Gold Coffee. And I had the opportunity to work with Holton Buggs, who still, we talk all the time, very played a big role in my life, helped take my life and my understanding of the industry to another level. But we did something very unique in that company, and it really taught me a lesson about leadership. We raised the bar, where in most companies and most leaders, getting to 7 figures a year was the benchmark. It was the goal. It was the 4-minute mile. And to get to 7 figures a year, this was a big accomplishment. And in most companies, then what you would have is you would have 1 or 2 people that got to $1 million a year, or maybe more. It's $1 million earners. What Holton did is came in and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get to $1 million a month faster than most people have ever gotten to $1 million a year. And he did it. Well, what happened was he raised the bar. He broke the 4-minute mile. And by the second year of the company, we had 47 people making $1 million a year. So in most companies, you had 1 or 2 leaders that would hit the ceiling of $1 million income. And then their people would make 6 or multiple 6 figures. Holton raised the lid, made $1 million a month. And as a result of that, so many other people made $1 million a year because he raised the lid, he raised the ceiling, and it became the new norm. And now today you look at the top earners in the industry, and it's funny because in the crypto space, they're not even published. But you got to know that there's people out there right now throughout the world that have made, just in 12 to 24 months, have made $30 to $50 million in compensation plans. In the digital world, right? The non-traditional MLM world, the ceiling has been broken in our industry. And we as a community now have a chance to raise that ceiling, not just for individuals, but really raise the ceiling for companies, for the industry itself. So I'm a big believer in that. I think that setting new levels of thinking and breaking those ceilings. So I want to invite this group, because here's one of the ceilings I want to break as a community. And I know we're going to do this. It's been a dream of mine for a long time. And this is the project that will do it. We're going to see top leaders earn $100 million in the compensation plan. No doubt in my mind, we will see top leaders earn $100 million in the compensation plan. It's never been done. There's guys that have made, close to that, 80 million, et cetera, but they've been with their companies for 20 years. We're going to see people do that in 3 years. We're going to see people earn $100 million in 3 years. And what that's going to do is that's going to raise the lid. And so now the person who says, my gosh, I want to make $1 million a month. Well, that's 12 million a year. When you got someone who's making 30 or 40 million in a year, all of a sudden 10 million becomes much more digestible. And when you got dozens of people making 10 million a year, all of a sudden making $1 million becomes the norm. So I think that we're going to actually make $1 million a year the new 6-figure income in Daisy. And I really believe that with all of my heart. How are we going to do that? We have to break through the ceiling. That's what we have to do. We have to break through the ceiling, and we have to help a few leaders do what has never been done before in this industry and set a new precedent. So, my hope and my prayer is that it's the right leaders and the right people that align with this project, that we really lay a solid foundation of culture and heart-driven leadership, so that when we smash records and we see people's lives change with these incomes, we're really helping the right people win and creating the right environment around that success. And that's really, really the heart behind this.
Well, with that kind of vision, I was just going to say, well, I thought your cutting edge proprietary technology, these folks needed to know what makes this so unique is that once we build our community, you're able then to duplicate it immediately, attach it to the next project, to the next smart contract, et cetera, et cetera. And so all these relationships are all locked into our community, and they don't have to worry about rebuilding something. So if you think about that, guys, let's just assume that, I don't know what your projection is, Jeremy, for how much money you're going to earn from the first project. But now you can see, guys, you're going to build it once, and then you're going to continuously get paid over and over and over. And so what you understand, the power of the community that we're going to be launching here on the 21st, then you can say, you know what? Jeremy might be right, because 3 years from now, we may do 4 projects, 1 a quarter. And, that'll do 25 million each project for me. That's my 100 million for the year. Oh my gosh, that could work. And all I did was build this community back in 2000, right before Christmas in 2020.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I mean, look, Amazon's a great example. What was Amazon's phase 1? Amazon's phase 1 was the bookstore. Yeah. It's almost funny to think about right now, right? We think about Amazon, and it's almost funny to think back to when Amazon was an online bookstore. That's what started Amazon. They had an incredible phase 1. Phase 1 was incredible. They had a great run with books, but they built a platform, and that platform allowed them to move from books to everything, right? And so I believe that's exactly what we're going to be able to do as a company. We're going to create a better model that ultimately has no end to it. We can be in front of every trend out there in the market. Oh, you're muted, John.
I am. I know it's date night, and we've probably taken more time than you had committed. So we really, really, really appreciate it. And so I can't thank you enough. I hope all of you guys, if you know how to raise your hand or put an attaboy in the chat or something, just to show Jeremy a little love for what he did. There you go. I love the A-OK there. You bet. So
well, enjoy the presentation. I know John and Kevin, you guys are going to knock it out of the park. I'm glad you guys are recording this tonight too. So it'll be good for everyone to have access to.
I'm so glad. So yes, I just wanted to make sure. So I have permission to go on and post this in our Telegram channel?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I was going to ask you. Okay, awesome. Perfect. All right. So again, thanks again. That was awesome.
My pleasure. Good night, everybody.
All right, thanks, Chair.